Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your curiosity and a bunch of sources and really dig into what matters.
Yeah, forget scrolling endlessly. We're here to pull out the key insights, the surprising stuff.
Give you the lowdown without overwhelming you.
And today we are diving headfirst into a really exciting early action of the 2025 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. We've got some great material. You shared sports news articles, YouTube highlight transcripts covering the first round, specifically Jets versus Blues and the Avalanche against the Stars.
So our mission today is pretty focused. We want to unpack the big moments, those standout player performances, and kind of the initial ripple effects from these first few games. We want you to walk away with a real feel for what happened was actually significant.
And maybe find a couple of details you didn't expect.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's get into it. Starting up north in Winnipeg.
Right, game one, Winnipeg Jets, St. Louis Blues. It definitely set a tone. Well, the Jets came out on top, 5-3, solid win to start.
And watching that game, or even just looking at the highlights, you couldn't miss the impact of Winnipeg's big guns.
Yeah.
Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele.
Oh, absolutely. They were just dominant. Both had a goal and 2 assists, just leading the charge.
And for Scheifele, those assists were pretty huge, weren't they?
Yeah, actually. That wasn't just, padding the stats. It pushed him past Blake Wheeler for the franchise record in playoff points. For the Jets Slashers history,
Wow.
he's at 41 now. And he even said it was pretty special doing it in front of the home fans, that he was having a fun time. You kind of get that sense.
You could really see that connection, that chemistry between Connor and Scheifele. Connor's game winner. That was clutch.
Totally. A one-timer, just 1.36 left, right?
Right.
And who sets it up? Scheifele, of course.
Perfect pass. And then Adam Lowry bangs in the empty netter to seal it. That kind of finish says a lot.
It really does. And that chemistry, it's almost like, well, one article called it like laces and hockey skates.
Ah, I like that.
Yeah, just essential, works perfectly together. They both talked about, understanding each other, trusting each other on the ice. Scheifele was even kind of humble about it, said he just tries to get Connor the puck because, well, he does some fantastic things.
And Lowry called them dynamic together. Right?
Yeah.
Especially in the offensive zone.
Exactly. And you got to remember, this wasn't just a flash in the pan for game one. These guys were tearing it up all season.
Oh, yeah. Career years for both. Connor hit 97 points, 41 goals. Scheifele, 87 points, 39 goals.
And played every single game, all 82. That durability plus the production, it's pretty rare stuff.
But it wasn't just those two, was it? The Jets got contributions from others.
No, definitely not. You had Jared Anderson-Dolan scoring. Alex Iafallo got the tying goal in the third.
Assisted by?
You guessed it, Scheifele again. And Josh Morrissey, the defenseman, chipped in with 2 assists, too. Shows that depth.
And what about in net? Hellebuyck.
Well, the Blues scored 3, yeah, but Hellebuyck made 14 saves. Made the stops when they really mattered.
He had some nice things to say about Connor and Scheifele, too, didn't he?
He did. Called them elite players who see the game so well. Talked about their skill and their hockey IQ. It's maybe not a shocker that a team with that kind of talent, won the President's Trophy, league's best record.
Okay, but let's not forget the Blues. They put up a fight.
For sure. 3 goals isn't nothing. Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou both scored on the power play.
Which tells you something about their special teams, maybe.
Could be, yeah. And Oscar Sundqvist scored at even strength. Justin Falk had 2 assists for them. Binnington made 21 saves.
And remember, the Blues had to battle just to make the playoffs, right? Got that last wild card spot.
Exactly. Even their coach, Jim Montgomery, he gave credit where it was due, acknowledged the skill and talent of Connor and Scheifele, called that winning goal high-end play.
Does winning game one, does that usually mean much historically?
Well, statistically, yeah. The NHL numbers show teams winning game one of a best of 7. They win the series something like 68% of the time, .680 winning percentage.
So it's a good start, but not a guarantee.
Not at all. Every series writes its own story, but it's definitely an advantage you'd rather have.
And that Winnipeg crowd must have been insane.
Oh, yeah, the whiteout.
Yeah.
Full house, over 15,000 fans packed into Canada Life Centre. That energy, you can feel it even watching on TV.
Special teams breakdown.
Jets went 1 for 4 on the power play. Blues, a bit better, 2 for 3.
So maybe an area for the Jets to sharpen up.
Could be. Blues captain Braden Shen talked about controlling emotions and how crucial special teams are in the playoffs. It's often the difference maker.
Right. And game 2 is set for Monday, back in Winnipeg. Okay, let's pivot now. Let's dive into that other series, Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars.
All right. Game 1 there. Different story, but similar result in terms of decisiveness. Avalanche took it 5-1.
And a big part of that was the goaltending, especially early on.
Yeah, Mackenzie Blackwood. His playoff debut for the Avs, the highlights really showed him making some big stops right out of the gate.
Like that one on Hintz.
Exactly. Kept Dallas off the board entirely through the first 2 periods, stopped all 17 shots he faced in that stretch. That's huge for confidence for him and the team.
And offensively, was it the usual suspect leading the way for Colorado?
Pretty much. Nathan MacKinnon scored twice. The second one was an empty netter, but it was actually his 50th career playoff goal.
Wow, 50. That's a milestone.
Big one. Puts him up there in franchise history, behind Sakic and Forsberg, but still. Right. Impressive company.
His first goal, though, there was some talk about it.
Yeah, a little controversy. Looked like he might have kicked it in. They reviewed it, but the goal stood. He also got an assist on Nichushkin's goal earlier.
And the Avs got goals from others, too, right? Wasn't just MacKinnon?
Nope. Valeri Nichushkin scored, Devin Toews, Arturi Lekonen. They really poured it on in the third period. Added 3 goals, them. Just showed their firepower.
Did Dallas get anything past Blackwood eventually?
They did. Roop Hintz got the goal. Initially, there was some thought maybe Harley tipped it, but it went to Hintz, broke the shutout bid.
And Oettinger in the Dallas net.
He was busy. Made some good saves. You saw those in the highlights, too, but the Avs just had too much pressure. MacKinnon drew a penalty, then scored on the power play. They seem to have a lot of zone time.
Okay, so Avs take Game 1 convincingly. But then things shifted, didn't they? Let's talk Game 3 back in Denver.
Yeah, Game 3 was completely different. Super tight game. Went to overtime.
And Dallas came out on top this time.
They did. 2-1 win in OT. That gave them a 2-1 series lead, actually. Huge momentum swing.
I got the winner.
Tyler Seguin. About 5.5 minutes into overtime, Mason Marchment got the assist.
And that was Dallas's second OT win in a row.
Yeah, interestingly enough, they won Game 2 in OT as well, and they haven't actually led for very much time in regulation across the whole series, kind of finding ways to win late.
Seguin must have been pretty pumped.
Yeah, he mentioned having a good feeling, credited the penalty kill, the team focusing on details. It was actually only his second career playoff OT goal. His first was way back in 2012.
You mentioned the penalty kill. Was that a big factor in Game 3?
Oh, absolutely massive. Mason Marchment took a 4-minute double minor for high sticking late in the third. Final minute of regulation. Huge opportunity for Colorado.
And Dallas killed it off. All 4 minutes.
The whole thing. Their coach, DeBoer, he specifically pointed to that kill, said their confidence in their PK was like a key reason they won. That kind of stand, especially on the road, that's big.
Wow. So that kill probably prevented an Avs win right there and then gave Dallas a huge, psychological boost going into OT.
You'd have to think so. And you also had Esa Lindell making a huge shot deflection in overtime for Dallas. Crucial defensive plays.
Who scored the goals in regulation for Game 3?
Jamie Benn tied it for Dallas in the third period. Veteran leadership stepping up. Jake Oettinger was really solid, made 27 saves.
Same for the Avs.
Valeri Nichushkin scored again. His goal came in the first period. And Blackwood made 26 saves at the other end. So yeah, a real goalie battle, tight checking.
But the biggest story for the Avalanche in Game 3, even bigger than the loss, perhaps, was someone's return, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The return of their captain, Gabriel Landeskog. It was kind of incredible.
How long had he been out?
1,032 days.
Yeah. Almost 3 years. Chronic knee injury, right?
Yeah. And the reception he got from the Denver crowd, just massive. Really emotional moment. You could see it.
Did he play much? How did he look?
He played over 13 minutes, actually, and led the team with 6 hits. So he was definitely involved, bringing that physical presence right away.
What did he say about it?
He called it a very special night, regardless of the outcome. You could tell it meant a lot. And apparently it's pretty historic, too. Only the 5th player ever with over 700 games played to return after missing more than 1,000 days.
That's amazing perseverance.
Truly is. Inspiring stuff.
But despite that emotional lift, the Avs couldn't capitalize, especially on the power play.
No, that was a real struggle for them in Game 3. Went 0 for 6 with the man advantage. That just can't happen in the playoffs, especially in tight games.
What did Coach Bednar say?
His answer was pretty short and telling. When asked what needed to be better on the power play, he just said, everything.
Oof. Sums it up, I guess.
Yeah, sums up the frustration after losing a tough one at home, especially after getting their captain back.
So, okay, let's recap where we landed after these initial games. We saw pretty exciting Game 1 wins for the Jets and the Avalanche. Star players doing star things.
Definitely. Connor, Scheifele, McKinnon, they all showed up big early. Intense competition right away.
But then that momentum, at least in the Colorado-Dallas series, it really seemed to shift with Dallas grabbing that Game 3 OT win.
It did. And that win maybe even overshadowed, in the short term at least, the massive story of Landeskog's return for the Avs.
So really understanding these key moments, these performances, it gives you a really good snapshot of how things kicked off in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And, it raises an interesting question for you, the listener, to think about. How does that feeling, that momentum from winning Game 1, or maybe the sting of losing it, how does that carry through a series?
Right. And how does something like Landeskog returning, that emotional boost, the strategic element, how does that actually shape where a series goes from here, even if they lost that first game back?
Exactly. What do these early games kind of hint at for the deeper stories playing out? Are the Jets' top guns unstoppable? Can Dallas keep winning these tight ones against a powerhouse Avs team?
Lots to keep an eye on as these series unfold. Definitely something to chew on.